Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Now today I have finished some terminal things on my model airport and I have finished another model plane. But the most important thing for today would be this fella. That's right, I'm going to be making a review on my brand new Lockheed Super Constellation of Qantas that I got from the Aviation Museum in Longreach. So, yep, comes with a stand that says L-1049 Super Constellation and Qantas. And it's slightly angled when it's on the stand, so it makes it look a bit better. If I place it on the ground, you can see that it has its iconic three-tailed design. Maybe I'll film it here so that you can focus a bit more. So it has its iconic three-tailed design, and it really doesn't want to focus, so yeah. It has a, I'm going to use some fossil excavation tools. It has the Australian flag with the words below it, Australia. Here it has the Qantas Retro Roo flag, like that Retro Roo logo, and Victor Hotel Echo Alpha. I can't read that, it's really small. And you can see it has a tiny bit of a horizontal stabilizer coming out the end. And if you come around here, you can see that the horizontal stabilizer has a fair few details on it. That's a bit more detail. So you can see there, Australia and the Australian flag. You see you got the trim tab, you have the elevator, and you have the horizontal stabilizer. It's the same on the other one, and then you have nothing on these, which are on either end. As you can see. If I spin it around, so you have black on the edge, you have the red job again, and you can see up close that Retro Roo, the flag again. And then what you have, working your way back up towards the cockpit, you have the route that they actually would go on. Sydney, Auckland, Nadi, Honolulu, Fiji, San Francisco. Oh no, I read that wrong. Sydney, Auckland, Nadi, Honolulu, San Francisco, New York, Washington, London, Frankfurt. Then on the other side, Rome, Athens, Karachi, New Delhi, Bangkok, Singapore, Perth, Melbourne, and Sydney. You can see, because this was the old business class configuration, you had 3 here, then toilets in a galley, 3 here, then space to put your legs out, emergency exits. Then you have 1, 2 emergency exits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these seats were very good quality seats for the day. Then you have one that's slightly lower. That is a flight attendant seat. and you have a galley. Then you have one that's slightly higher, that's also a flight attendant seat, and then you sort of have the rest of the seats on a kind of wonky angle. Sometimes they would not actually be for passengers, but they would be for deadhead crew, which is basically a crew being transported to another flight. In the middle you have the Qantas, and further back here you have the Lockheed Super Constellation thing, and it has the star, the shooting star looking thing. Yep. Moving back, you have the wing. Obviously there is some seams there, but that is fine. You have stripes along the wing that indicate where the plane needs to be washed when it's in the washer. When it's being washed, I mean. Now there's a line across the middle. That's your line for your flaps. You have here your slats, and you have your ailerons. And then if you look right there really closely, you can see that sort of tiny little area. That is your trim tab, and obviously it's the same on the other side. We will actually take, apart from that it has the rego on this side, if you look at the other side, it has Qantas written on the canoe, and the canoe is actually what they call these on the end. So these on the end, the canoe, they actually, in this, they would hold fuel on the end, which is very good. This is a 1/300 scale, but I'm using it for 1/400 because it's very similar. As you can see, it says Qantas, and there's some nice red cap, and then it sort of turns into a line where it says Qantas and thins out towards the end, which I think looks really cool. As you can see, you have the engine cowlings. You have more cleaning marks along the top of the engines, and then you have the prop master. You have the propellers, that is 3 propellers that indeed do spin. And so you have air intakes on the top and on the bottom. You have the black leading edge of the wing, as you can see. Then moving a little bit closer, you have the repeat of the Lockheed Super Constellation logo, and then you have the front door. This is interesting because it's actually the only door on this side. Obviously this is the wrong side, but that is the door that they would load in the catering from. So I just thought that was a little bit interesting. So that is the catering door. You see the little hole, the little window, and yeah. Now on the top of the plane, you would have your traffic antenna and your radio antenna to talk to ATC. And moving around, you can definitely see that the nose does slope down, but they still need that massive landing gear. We'll go into the landing gear in detail. So, as you can see with the landing gear, you have the front, which has Q for Qantas, because if you're looking at it from the front, you couldn't really tell if it was Qantas, if you were just a ground crew, and there was a lot of liveries that were orange and like that. So Q for Qantas. It's a very large strut, and you would have the gear, and the gear is actually sloped on an angle, and that is because of the weight of the aircraft. this was a very heavy aircraft. I believe it was a Lug. You have all the struts that attach to it, and further back you have your gear well with these massive doors. Now, people have tried to stow away in here, but it is unsafe because this was actually a pressurized airliner, and this was built in the 40s, so that is very interesting for 40s airliners. As you can see down here, you have two different beacons for two different meanings. One beacon is so you can see other traffic, and the other is to tell you if the engine is working. So green is other traffic, red is if the engines are running. Now further towards the back, you have another port. Now this is conveniently placed near the toilet area of the aircraft. This is actually your toilet tube, I would think. Yeah. Over here you have your massive main landing gear, because they did fly off of not very good strips back then. And you also have some pretty simple struts and a very modern design going into the engines of the gear well, and this was very new for its time. Here you have the screw holding it together. Here you have a hole for the stand, and yeah. On the other side you have Qantas written for people flying over, and you have the rego for people for when it's flying over, for people being underneath it. Now, as you can see over here, we have the cockpit. Very interesting, looks quite Boeing-like, and on the top you have the emergency escape hatch. That is pretty good. That they include this much detail, and this was actually a Darren plane. It was part of the postage stamp collection, which I thought was pretty cool. This is actually the G model, so that means that this was not a military plane. The G model in real life. Yeah. Now the reason why this plane has the iconic T-tail was because it is very stable, and it actually helps it glide longer in it's just like in boats, 3 hulls, more stable, and it actually helps it glide longer. And this was important because if you look at the engines, it has 4 of them, but the nickname for this aircraft was the best 3-engined airliner in the world. And the reason for this is because these engines would break down very quickly. And Qantas actually stored up to 19 of these engines worldwide at all these different airports along the side, which is very interesting. You can see at the back you have the Qantas, says Qantas on there, and you have above the door you have the Lockheed logos in the same places, and you have another flag of some sort. I'm just going to get it up close. I'm not sure what that is. I will have to research about that, and feel free to research yourself. It's right next to the door there. It might be a round the world certificate or something, because it was the first around the world. And you can see down here you have a door at the back. Now you have the window on it, and this is tiny. There's a really small door, because this is actually the flight attendant door that the flight attendants would get on through. So there'd be an air stair at the back. And this is also very interesting. And you can see the livery is grey down the bottom. Grey, most of it's grey. White at the top, and a red stripe with a white stripe. So that is quite nice. And then you've got black nose. You have, let me read that. Right there, if you can see it, Royal Airmail logo. And yeah, so over here, as you can see, very different in size. This is the door that the passengers would get on through, always on the left or port side, which is because most of the luggage and stuff is loaded on from that side. Now, one thing that isn't so good about the model is that it doesn't come with luggage doors. What is cool is that they have the tab for the pitot tubes. So this is a very large door. You can see they have the room for the window on the side, and that window is smack bang in the middle. So that is very interesting. As you can see here, we have an emergency exit, and this is where they put the slides. Now, Qantas actually invented the slides, so that is another cool fact for you. So yes, I hope you enjoy this model review. I think that's it about this model, so I will see you guys next time. Bye. Wait, one thing. Fuel dumping. Right there. This plane did dump fuel. Very, very, very interesting for a plane of the 40s. So see you guys next time. Bye.